In the oil and gas industry, safety is of the utmost importance. Also, what we wear must be FR out in the oil field while we are on location. We're going to talk to an expert that has not only made FR safer, but also more comfortable to wear. We're going to talk about that and much more on this episode of The Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
NAPE is a proud sponsor of The Crude Truth. Be sure to register for the NAPE Expo 2024, February 7th through the 9th at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. Hurry and register today. NAPE, where deals happen.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry, committed to being good stewards of the environment and providing the tools so you can be too. NAPE Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Oil and Gas Workers Association. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Well, today my guest is somebody that I just am so excited. It's actually been months in the making. It's somebody that has been all throughout America, traveling, talking about FR. And for my listeners out there that don't know what FR, that is flame resistant or fire retardant. Depending on how you put it, my guest today is Sentinel Safety's owner, president, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Peeples. Jeff, how are you?
I'm wonderful, man. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing excellent. You are here in Dallas at our Real News studio. Thank you so much for coming into town.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This studio is amazing. It was a bit overwhelming walking in. I was like, well, I don't know if I was expecting that, but it's my first time in a studio and also in a makeup chair. So that was I got a picture of that. It's like sitting in a makeup chair. Go well. There you go.
Oh man, well here we go. No, you are just rocking and rolling, and I can't thank you enough. And yes, real quick, shout out to Real News and their team here. I think you got to probably meet Miss Lauren when she came in, and she probably walked you down, and probably even offered you water. I bet, knowing her. She's now been here a year, and she's like the hostess with the mostest, and that's doing her a total disservice when I say hostess with the mostest. But anyway, shout out to all of them out there. And so, yeah, thank you for the compliments. But the reason why we're here is to talk about you, talk about Sentinel Safety, because I want to kind of build up to it. You have some great things and great products, but I want to build up to that because they're state of the art. And I mean that the technology, this is a freaking Pentium 30 or, the Windows 20, this is the hottest thing and the newest thing. And it's really technology driven. But Jeff, let's talk about you a little bit and kind of, break the ice a little bit. Jeff, how are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm wonderful. I'm very happy to be here. I came to Texas 20-something years ago now. Grew up in Georgia, grew up in a small place in Georgia, and found my way to Texas for college. I attended Texas Tech University for undergrad. Had a few moving arounds after college, a few different jobs, had a deployment or two. And so that interfered with my 20s. And in my 30s, I kind of got into a good career path, and it kind of led in a lot of different directions. But I met a really great mentor. His name was Mush Khan, and I enjoyed working for Mush. He was incredible for me, and that was it was more of a finished lubricants business, fuel business, diesel business. He moved on to a major glove manufacturer, safety glove manufacturer.
Yeah.
And at that business, I became director of international sales. So I got to quite literally travel the world and see all of the oil fields and see all of these countries and learn how they do business, learn what was working for them and what wasn't. I took that knowledge and co-founded Tomahawk Safety about 5 years ago. Tomahawk was led by some people from the medical industry. So during COVID came along, we switched pretty quickly to the medical side, along with a lot of other businesses. And then after that, they saw it as their best option to stay medical. And so I divested out and went back to doing industrial stuff. And I'm moving up. I'm still under 2 years old. August 27th, I'll be 2 years old as a company. So excited about that birthday. I'm got a pretty good cake being made for me. So
all right,
it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's coming up. So that's where we are today.
Well, first of all, with Sentinel Safety, I want to kind of go back a little bit. You glaze over something,
Okay.
and I can't let you do that. You served 2 terms doing duty. Let's start. I mean, you are a veteran.
Yes.
Sir.
No, I was in the Army Reserve and by deployments, active duty.
Yes.
For 11 years. I started right out of high school. 1995, I think, is my basic training year, and I was done by 2007.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been out for quite a while. It's been so long. I actually visited Fort Sill where I started last year. Okay. And it was pretty interesting to go back. It's like, oh well, I'm not a 17-year-old anymore, and it's not as scary as you think it would be. But I still remember the pain and thinking about a pain on a 17-year-old body. How much would it have been on a 40-something-year-old body? So I'm glad I don't have to do that again. But yeah, so I was in for 11 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for your service. And again, I did not want to just glaze over that. I mean, that would be doing you a disservice. So thank you again for your service. So let's, fast forward. So you've divested out of the medical with Tomahawk. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, you're Sentinel Safety.
Right.
What was it about Sentinel Safety? And I guess before I ask another question, can you just tell us what is Sentinel Safety?
So Sentinel, I guess my motive for Sentinel was a drive to build better things.
Okay.
I looked at the market. I wasn't heavily involved in fire-resistant clothing at the time. My expertise was primarily gloves. Mm-hmm. I designed the gloves at Tomahawk as well as the gloves from Sentinel today, and mm-hmm. I designed them based on feedback from people who were actually using them.
Yeah.
So I looked into the field. I saw things like fingertip injuries. I saw things like taking off the glove to do a job that you can't do with a glove on. So they may be doing something heavy hitting at one point, but then they come in and they need to change a tire.
Yeah.
Well, they need something a little more dexterous and flexible than what's out there. And so my point is okay, let's build this thing in maximum safety, but let's make it maximum dexterity and fit.
Yeah.
And let's protect those fingertips because that's where most of the injuries come from on hands. Most injuries in the oil field are hand-related injuries. And by far, the majority of those are crushing blows to the fingertips. It's easy to see. Like, I mean, I would do safety trainings on these things, and I saw the injury reports. This is what they are. So it was aiming to fix that. And then when I started Sentinel, I took aim at FR. I took aim at FR because I looked at things and said, okay, the impact glove market came into existence maybe 12 or 13 years ago. It came into existence for a reason. And, the first major corporation to use it, I think, was Key Energy. And Key was able to reduce their hand injuries by about 85%.
Oh, wow.
So they quickly find out it did make sense to spend that much more money because the medical cost of injuries to the hands were far exceeded any cost of the gloves you incurred. So, but I also saw and looked at fire-resistant clothing, and I saw a technology that was over 30 years old. Why? Everything else, no other technology in the oil field was 30 years old. Why were we still putting these guys in that? And it wasn't just the case of, is it protecting them against the flash fire, which is really what this is made to do, protect against a 3 to 5 second flash fire. But what about the heat?
Yeah.
What about how hot they are? So there are a lot of reported heat injuries, but then there are a lot of unreported heat injuries. So what I aimed to do was design a product that, number one, protected at the highest level from flash fires, and number two, was finally comfortable, finally cool, finally something that fit well, that was cool, was comfortable, and would protect. And I think we hit it.
You know, all I can think about with FR gear is thick, scratchy, and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the names of those, but y'all know who y'all are out there. And then for all our listeners and people watching the show, they're probably thinking about all the stores that they go to, and they really don't have a lot of choices. And they're all heavy and they're all hot. But they're serving a purpose, and we all wear them while we're out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's but for you to look at this, and I mean, what an entrepreneur mindset you had to go, okay, this is broken, let's go fix it, because nobody else is doing this. And this is just such a game changer that again, I had to have you on, being like, oh my gosh, we had a chance to meet a couple months back over at one of the Black Rifle Coffees, and you had just a few prototypes, as you would call them, and now you're all over the place. So, let's, for all my listeners out there, I do recommend that you watch this episode, because right now, you're going to show me a couple of different products that you do have, and what makes them what they are, so.
Yeah, sure. You want to start with the gloves?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll start with the gloves. So right now, I do have other gloves than this, but I looked at it in the oil and gas industry in Texas. You basically need a lightweight glove for whatever they're doing, and then a heavier duty glove.
Yeah.
So with the lightweight glove, I'll start with that. That's called a cut and sew glove. A lot of people outside the industry will notice that it looks like a garden glove with impact on it. And so this is my Slim Raptor.
Okay.
A couple of notes about it that I think especially those decision makers who are making decisions for their employees would be interested in. Number one, it's the only 18 gauge glove of this manner that was created and has cut protection and impact protection.
Okay.
Reason why that's so is because it's expensive to make an 18 gauge glove. Reason why it's expensive, because these gloves, if you use them in the oil field, you can see it here. I guess I can turn it upside down for the camera, but they achieve the cut resistant factor by adding in things like steel, aluminum, also glass in some cases to achieve the cut factor. So if you got something really thin and that's what's in the fibers to make it cut resistant, what you're going to have is scratchiness.
Yeah.
It's going to scratch the hand. And these guys, you might not feel it if you put it on for a second, but if you're working in it for 12 hours, you will feel it.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we added basalt. Basalt is a natural mineral, and it's also soft. So it helps to achieve the cut resistant factor. And this glove here is ANSI 4 cut protection. So we have the ANSI 4 cut protection, the ANSI Impact 2 on the top of the hand, which is important. But as I said, fingertips, really where the injuries come from. So in this type of glove, you can't wrap it around the fingertips, but you can. That's about as best as you could possibly get is the fingertips. As you can see at the very tip here, to cover the fingers, to protect it from blows and crushes that they may incur.
Yeah.
Also, the grip is a little bit different. Most grips are either what's called sandy nitrile or sometimes PU grip, polyurethane.
Okay.
And one of them is good in dry conditions and one is good in wet conditions.
Okay.
And so I made a mixture. So I have a kind of a blended product that's both. So it doesn't give you absolute disaster in a dry or wet condition, depending on which one you use.
Yeah.
So also, I had to, in addition to the product that was in there that was woven into the product, I had to use a special kind of thread to sew it into the glove.
Okay.
The reason why is because, again, it's so thin that it would have felt like fishing wire on the hand, like rubbing against the hand, and after a while it starts to annoy. And it does come with a Velcro strap on the back. I used to think they wanted the Velcro strap because they wanted it tight on their hands, but it seems like in most cases or not, they're using it because they want it open.
Okay.
And cooler on their hands in the heat. So I was wary of making a glove with Velcro straps because I'm full on safety.
Yeah.
And the idea that possibly of getting your hands caught in something and it's stuck to your hand and you can't just pull out of that glove.
Yeah.
So that was some concern of mine, but I realized later on that you're just opening it up for their own coolness and safety. So
what an attention to detail you have done with these gloves. I mean, give us an example of out in the oil field for anybody out there that may not be familiar with things in the oil and gas industry, where's somebody using these gloves out in the oil field exactly?
Well, United States was interesting to me. When I was with Ringer's gloves years ago, I was around the world, and I didn't see a lot of these types of gloves. They were all heavy duty. But here in the U.S., they use a lot of those gloves, and in conditions I wouldn't consider using those types of gloves.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite up for the challenge, but it's for medium duty. But there are some frac companies that are using them. I'll give them my advice, but after that point, it's up to them to decide on what their PPE was going to be.
Yeah.
But, light to medium duty, a lot of oilfield service companies can use those types of gloves. But they also, at the same point, could use the heavier duty glove that would last longer. It'd be a little more uncomfortable, a little more bulkier on the hand. But the heavier duty glove there, is more for drilling, or for real work up and work down and those types of things. And forgive me, oil field people. I don't know exactly.
Sling and chain.
Yeah, sling and chain. That's what it is.
Yes,
that brings us to this glove, which is in the industry term called a cut and sew glove. So, and like that, it's not a single shell. It's an actual glove that we have to put together using I tell people how many actual parts are in this glove. There's about 76 individual parts of this glove. So what we use a really strong 2-way flex spandex. I don't like a 4-way. Tends to be a little too thin. It tends to allow liquids through, although it is kind of comfortable. I went away from that for that reason. Again, on the meets ANSI 2, and on the top of the hand and the fingertip impact protection.
Yeah.
So that's a really good ANSI impact rating, because that's where most of the injuries come from. Now, as I said before, dexterity is key, and I had to learn. I had to do research. I've done research with cadavers with impact, and what we realized. Yeah,
that's a whole podcast in itself, right?
What we realized is that while in the early days of impact gloves, companies were just making this part, the TPR, the thermoplastic ring, as hard as they could, and say, okay, if it bounces back, that's the best thing for it. It's not, however. When you lay your hand down on something comes down and hits it, that energy comes through your finger and back through it. It bounces off of whatever you have your hand on and comes back through it. And that's where most of the cracks from your fingers and your bones were taking place.
Oh.
So what I had to do was figure out a way to design a product that would dissipate the energy instead. So that's why you see all these wacky lines through mine. That it's to basically take instead of
blunt, make it blunt.
Yes, just die upon impact, so it wouldn't bounce back through and cause those fissures in the bones. So, as far as you got a question?
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
As far as grip goes, my original thinking was, I think everyone's original thinking is that the grip is really this. It's what material this is. It certainly is a part of that. But what I realized in studying grip is that grip wasn't as much about the surface of the palm. It was more about when you're making contact, when you're grabbing something, say this cup here, your ability to hold this cup as stable as you can depends on how much surface of your hand is making contact with the cup.
Right.
So most of the gloves in the market do not make a glove because it would fit like this, and it would not be as much contact from your hand to that. That's why guys in the field, they love the corded cotton palm, because when it gets wet, it's basically their hand. So that's why they like it so much. It's just not very safe. It's not safe at all, actually.
No.
So what I use is a very good synthetic leather. Synthetic leather lasts a little bit longer than real leather. It doesn't harden as quickly. And I found out that grip points are how it's made, not total. You don't need a total coverage of something like this, which is an aramid product. You don't need total coverage of it, but you need it in certain spots. So when you grab it, it acts as almost like a grip on it wherever you're grabbing. So this glove is, again, it's the same as this glove. It's ANSI A4 cut protection. Yeah. It maxes out puncture protection and tear protection as well. So it's a tough glove, and so that's what it's made for more of the rough work that you see out there.
Two things, and one's a question. First of all, I like the yellow on this one just because I'm visioning all the gloves that get left out especially during a new drill, and you just can see it because they blend in to the ground. I mean, that thing's going to stick out.
Well, the primary reason we make it yellow is high vis. So
yes,
when your worker is out there and they're in a little rig or doing something and they got their hands onto something, they notice their hands instead of getting put in a place that may be dangerous. That's why we do high vis on the gloves.
Now, what do these things retail for?
I've just been direct to customers.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
So I haven't really retailed it yet.
Reach out to you.
Yeah, reach out to me.
All right.
So it depends on, obviously economic factors, volume, things like that. But yeah, it's because I'm direct, I'm competitive.
Right.
Really competitive. So if you would get the absolute best product for a price that wouldn't sting you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going for.
Well, speaking of things that won't sting you or make you uncomfortable, to transition here in a cheesy way, let's talk about the clothing, okay? Because this right here is what I think is, along with the gloves, this is where these companies are seeing the benefit because you've got big contracts,
yes,
but you're still secret, and I don't know why, and so I'm hoping, I can just, get this out to tell people. So let's talk about your shirts.
Well, when I went to build this product, what I saw was products that were mainly cotton or what's called 8812, a cotton polyester blend. Those products, believe it or not, were made by a chemical being introduced to the weaving process to the cotton.
Okay.
Chemical leaves open the idea or the chance that, number one, it will wash out.
Yeah.
More than likely, it's going to wash out at some point, leaving your product unsafe. But it also can get into the skin. Yeah. So my product, Sentinel's FR, is all inherently FR. The fibers themselves are FR, so it's guaranteed FR for the life of the product. So we wanted to, number one, take care of that first. Number two, make it comfortable. So I worked with what I believe my partner in this is been in business for 75 years, his family, and they are the best manufacturers and weavers of product in the world.
Yeah.
And I bought it from I get my fibers from what I believe is the best fiber company in the entire world, in Europe. So nothing coming from India or China for me, which not bad mouthing it, but that's what we're trying to go for. It's something that greatly improves comfort and safety. And so saying that, I have two lines of fire-resistant clothing, basically two levels. They're called Flame Guard Flex, and the Flame Guard Zephyr. The Flame Guard Flex here, I'll show you first.
Yeah.
Got a whole coverall here to show, but this is our gray because people in the oil field just really like the color gray here. So,
it's simple, it's easy.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see here, got it upside down. So this is our gray. So a couple of the features is, number one, it's a 5.4 ounce product. So that's a really, really light product for a product that's Cat 2. So generally what you'll see in the oil field, if you're watching this and you have a lot of experience touching, feeling, looking at different FR material, you'll notice that it's if it's this thin, it's usually a Cat 1.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is make it a Cat 2 product that does this thin as well. As you can see, it almost air. You can see the air go through it. If you hold it up, you can still hold it up to the light.
Oh, wow,
to the light. You can see essentially straight through it because of and that has a lot to do with my partner who weaves the product. We also triple stitch where we have breaks, triple and double stitch everywhere, and so it's very comfortable. Most people believe they have to wear an undershirt, underclothes. You don't with these. That's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
You no longer have to wear all these clothes underneath to keep your skin from being itchy and all of that stuff. So this thing breathes. It should be comfortable enough to wear without underclothes to keep you comfortable. So
that thing, to everybody out there that's watching this episode, this is so light, and to be a Cat 2, I recommend you definitely. Again, there's a reason why I invited Jeff on. This stuff is so light and amazing. I mean, it feels very good. And again, I mean, you just put it on and you're ready to rock and roll in a Cat 2 environment.
Yep. And a couple of other things that we were real proud of in the testing of it.
Yeah.
The tear test came back amazing, and the shrinkage test came back amazing.
Well, good.
Yeah. So that's one thing that's the problem. Like, we looked at all problems, and you know, generally speaking, and a guy comes up and he's an XL, he's going to ask for a double XL because he's expecting a great amount of shrinkage between the product.
Yeah.
And also they wash it because it's not soft in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that with ours. They're soft. This has never been washed.
Yeah.
So it's that soft and never been washed. So that's what we're proud of. We're very boutique. We don't like to do patches. We think patches are uncomfortable and draw heat, and it doesn't look good. People that work for you, they are advertising for you. They're a walking billboard for your company. So we want them to not only be safe, be comfortable, we also want them to look good as they're advertising for your company.
Yeah.
So this is the Flame Guard Flex. It is the Flame Guard Flex coverall. We also make them in shirts as well. So everything this coverall is also made into a shirt. So it's no big deal.
Well, let's show off that shirt because, I mean, I'm old school. I like jeans. You know, my youngest brother loves the overalls. Yeah. But me, I mean, this right here, this to me is the money maker.
Yeah.
This one right here, and I'm going to show this one off because this one is so awesome. Guys, if you can think of a perfect combination, this is my opinion, okay? Shooting off the cuff here. Between a fishing shirt and a quality polo, or a button-up, not a polo, excuse me. This is it. It is comfortable. Don't need to wear an undershirt. I mean, I'm here promoting this myself. It is a great shirt, lightweight. If you can imagine being in West Texas, this is the shirt to wear. Okay, now you do your part. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So this is my Zephyr. So the Zephyr is my pride and joy. I believe we will own the shirt market by next year.
I agree.
We have thousands coming in right now for stock. So it's my baby. It's something we worked on for quite a while. It is a 4.9 ounce Cat 2 product. So again, I don't know any under 5 ounces that are a Cat 2. I haven't seen it. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it. But I guarantee you it isn't as comfortable as this.
No.
That's the key point to it. You do not need to wear an undershirt. It breathes incredibly well.
No.
And it protects incredibly well. And, you know, one thing I always do to show to people, just like, how soft is this thing? How comfortable is it? Well, do you know an oil-filled shirt that you can do that to? Have you ever seen one? You just don't see that. So that's how soft it is. That's how comfortable the shirt is. We come in any color you'd like for the most part. We can, because of our fibers, we dye our fibers ourselves. So we can make the fibers to your company's Pantone, or we're going to carry stock of certain colors, navy being one. Yeah. What do we call our Sahara color being another? We also have red and gray, and we can do, like I said, we can do any color, but it'll be, you know, if you got to specify it, and we have to make it for you. Yeah. But we're going to carry, you know, for the most part, the most popular colors. As you can see, this is our color. This is our Sahara color, which is also a very popular color. In the U.S., especially the South and Texas and New Mexico. We had an original khaki, but we wanted to make it a little bit lighter. Yeah. So we came with the Sahara, so people out there really love that. So that's our Zephyr product. Like, again, it's a 4.9 ounce Cat 2 product. We are going to make also a 4.3 ounce Cat 1 for the people who need it. So it's going to be even lighter than that. But, you know, the only product that ever compared to it was Nomex. Yeah. But the biggest difference is comfort. Yeah. Nomex is incredibly uncomfortable. It's scratchy. You know, it's just uncomfortable, and that's what we wanted to beat out.
Real quick, before you show the other products, will you just, for our listeners out there that don't know, can you tell the difference between Cat 1 and Cat 2, just real quick?
Well, it's just its arc rating on its where it stands as far as its ability to not burn, I guess is what it was. It's Cat 1 through 4. Yeah. Generally speaking, the oil field is at Cat 2. Yeah. A lot of people, I don't see a real reason to jump up above that in the oil field. It's fire resistance in the oil field is made to protect against flash fires, which is 3 to 5 seconds. Yeah. After that, there's nothing. I mean, if you can't get out of it at that point, it's just a probably more than likely going to be a fatality. Yeah. But we try to prevent fatalities and try to prevent body, the depth of the problem in your body, how bad the burn is. So that's what the difference is. Cat 1 is, again, a lighter protection. Cat up to 4 is the heavier protection. And it rates in at what's called a Cal rating. Yeah. So the Flex rates in at 8.5, and the Zephyr comes in at 8.7.
Well, real quick, why don't you show? I know you've got a couple more products here, and I definitely want you to show off. Oh, so there's the last. I can't wait for the last. So sorry, sorry, getting ahead of myself.
So we really wanted to. I do have another one that I don't have with me today because I had to give it away to a very large potential customer. But this is our winter wear. What I discovered in winter wear, I went to North Dakota, went to Alaska. I even went to Stavanger, Norway, and I went to Aberdeen, Scotland, to ask people what did they need as far as winter wear. And the two things I got back were, number one, we need to stay dry, and number two, we need to be able to kill the wind. The wind was brutal, especially in North Dakota. It's just brutal. But in Alaska, they get snow and they get wet. And once cloth is wet, it's miserable on them. So what we try to do is make something a little bit more flexible, a little bit lighter for the guys. So this is our winter bib. We can make this thing as thick as people like it. What they're going to notice, if outside of not seeing it on TV, but what you're going to really notice about this product is, again, thinner, more comfortable, lighter in every way possible. So what people are generally used to in the oil field is big, thick, stiff products. But again, I mean, if you look at this,
look at that.
I mean, it just rolls up like that because it's so much more flexible. It's so much more dexterous on the body, and it just works better for you, and it allows you to do a better job without having to
I mean,
walk around like the abominable snowman.
Right. And that's the thing. And okay, you got to show off this new one because you were talking about wind resistant. Yeah, I can just think of some other big companies that you're about to put out of business because this is not only going to be good for FR. This is going to be a good all-around jacket right here.
So luckily, on this trip I made, which took about 6 months, and then these different places, one thing I learned was to get started on it. There wasn't a real big push, but I do want to give a shout out to NOV. NOV pushed me on it. They asked for a research and development partnership to develop this jacket and a couple of other things.
Oh, wow.
Female coverall that I've developed into a brand called Hers.
Okay.
So I've developed a full female coverall because they really needed it.
Yeah.
And but also when I did it, I invented this jacket. So again, going back to what we said, the wind and the wetness.
Yeah.
If it gets rainy or if it gets windy, that's the problem. So what we started working on 2 years ago was a product. This product here. We went through quite a few iterations. I mean, the manufacturing of this was borderline impossible. The engineering, because I wrote the engineering specs of what I want, and then my factory had to figure out how to put it together. So in the end, we realized that it's a laminated product. We have to make it part of it and let it sit for 3 weeks before we could even finish it. That's how difficult it was to put these things together with fire resistant material. So my winter line is called the Arctic Guard. So this is the Arctic Guard soft shell jacket.
Yes.
So if you've seen oil field jackets, you've seen how bulky they are. They look like somebody's wearing a big burlap sack on their back. I mean, it gets in the way. It's not very comfortable, and it just is in every way wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing made. They're all wearing those old, I'm not going to name the company, but famous company that makes jackets for wintertime, and it's just big and thick.
Yeah.
I wanted it thinner. This jacket is a Cat 3. So it reaches club level. So it's even more protective than the regular FR, way more than the standards require.
Right.
But it's completely waterproof and completely windproof. And that's what the key is here. It'll keep people dry. It'll keep people, it'll keep them looking good in their uniforms, right?
Yeah.
So it fits. It's a better fit. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna put it on if you don't mind to show.
I don't mind. Model it.
Show people,
And you've lost some weight. So
I can now fit into a large again.
We're also showing off that quick crocodile belt. We're not talking about that. But look at this jacket. And this jacket reminds me of two other companies that may or may not make quality gear, but they're both anti-oil. Okay? Jeff Peeples with Sentinel Safety just created the jacket that y'all all know I'm talking about, that people use when they go skiing, when they're out in the elements, that can be used not only for that, but also out in the oil field. This is a great, in my opinion, all-around jacket. The one jacket that every man needs is this jacket right here.
As you can see, it's flexible. It doesn't It actually bends a little bit,
Yeah.
so it flexes around the arms. It's not, you can see it's close to the body. I don't know if the camera's catching me a little high, but you can see it's form-fitting on the body. It's not flailing out. It's not big on your shoulders. You can reach around. It's not in any way inhibited on your body.
Yeah.
But again, it's completely waterproof, completely windproof. And I don't know. I know he warned me about my microphone with that jacket on, so I hope it worked okay.
That's all right.
I hope he's not mad at me.
No,
in the
no,
production
he
room.
was giving us a thumbs up.
But
Well,
yes, this is the jacket.
that is, I think that's a crown, and that and the shirt that I was, that is awesome.
And you can
The
see our
shirt. Look at that.
The soft shell inside. I'm not sure.
It's got
what
the
camera-
pockets.
Yeah, there's the soft shell. Now the final one quick thing. This is our get it out there for people to see it. We are going to put pockets here for cell phones and things like that. We are boutique. We can add H2S monitor holders. We can do different types of things you want. But if you order it from us, we do embroider at the factory.
Yes.
So it comes with your company logo, how in striping, however you prefer. We do have the FR striping and everything, the reflective tape and all that we put on the product at the factory. So it comes to you exactly as you want it. No.
Well, you have gone into detail on all of your products, and that is the spirit of an entrepreneur, Jeff. And you and everything that you're doing, this is game changing, and that's the crude truth. That jacket and that button up, and really all the products. I'm just a fan. Again, as you can tell, I like a good fashion button up and a pair of blue jeans. And then the jacket, finding a good quality jacket, and that jacket, and this is just my opinion again, is something you can wear at any time. This reminds me of the other two brands. I'm not going to mention their names, of one of their expensive jackets that isn't FR.
Yeah.
So, and they're both anti-oil, very much so right now.
Yeah.
So Sentinel safety is where it's at. And your heart is also just as great, as good looking as you are. So, and I want to lead that in, and that's a cheesy way to kind of talk about your group that you're with and a few things that you're part of as far as a nonprofit goes. And wanted to highlight that just for a minute real quick.
Yeah, I'm involved in an organization, have been for about 2.5 years now, an organization called Red M. I was actually led there through the oil field. Being in the safety industry, I have a safety podcast as well called Mission Zero Podcast. It's very specific to HSC and safety, and I had on David Reed, the Vice President of NOV, on to talk about some electrical environmental fleets and some of the things that they were doing. And during that interview, he told me a little bit about his work and his organization, and it really caught my attention. So I stayed with him and kind of developed him as develop a relationship with him as a mentor into this. So I've been working for him for a couple of years now, and as I grow my company, it's going to increasingly be a big part of financial support of the organization. We rented out a few theaters to watch Sound of Freedom.
Yes.
Sentinel did. So we've been pretty much been a promoter of everything they've done, and been an exhibitor at all the shows and things like that. So if you want to look us up, we're online. I think it's redm.org or joinredm.org. It's an unbelievable organization that is a bullhorn to raise awareness and to financially support 4 different organizations that are actually on the ground, organizations that are out there getting women off the streets, rescuing women, helping them to recovery. There's a recovery home that they sponsor and benefit called the Redeemed House. So it's all very important. I'm so glad that the movie The Sound of Freedom came along, so people who aren't paying attention can now see just how dire of a situation it is. And what I used to tell people before Sound of Freedom came out is like, this thing is about to be the largest illicit business on earth. It's already passed. At my point, when I said it 6 months ago, it had passed the drug trade, and it had passed illegal arms sales. It was about to pass the drug trade, but I think a lot of people now consider it already past the drug trade. So it's that big of an industry worldwide. It's about 50 million people in the world right now, 2 million children a year.
And you talk about passing the drug trade, it makes sense. I heard a stat that said that you can sell drugs one time, but an individual 10 times, 20 times.
A day. A day. You can sell a crack rock for one time, but you can sell a child for 10 to 20 times a day. And that's the wide awakened, right? And so we love the idea of being able to awaken people to that. If whatever you can do to help, but we tell people it doesn't matter if it's for 30 minutes out of a year or for 5 days out of a year. It really doesn't matter what you do to help. Everybody has a talent that can help, but awareness is the first step in eradicating it. And so, what I've learned and had to learn is that just because I can talk about tough subjects doesn't mean everybody can. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's nasty. It's an ugly, ugly conversation to have. People aren't comfortable with even talking about children being hurt, but you got to be. We've got to outgrow that. We cannot stick our head in the sand anymore.
Yeah.
I think people watching and listening and notice that society has had this awful trend of sexualizing children.
Yeah,
and it's just they're trying to normalize that. Can't allow it to happen. Can't allow it to happen.
Well, we're running short on time. I'm trying to, what we're ending on is such a serious note. Can you tell the organization one more time?
It's Red M. I think it's joinredm.org. Forgive me, but just Google
it. And Jeff, also, where can people find you in Sentinel Safety?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram right now. I think I'm already up and on Facebook.
Okay.
It's like I was telling your guy here, your producer here. I'm 40-something years old, but my social media skills and awareness when I started this was about 85 years old. So I really didn't know a whole lot. The website is being revamped because it's going to be going into a commercial website to be able to order directly from. So that's being ramped up, but I can be contacted at jeff@sentinelsafety, all one word.com for information. I'm also on LinkedIn. I put a lot of information on LinkedIn so people can see things there as well.
Okay.
About the organization.
Well, Jeff, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and showing these great products. I recommend, as an operator, for people to definitely check out his clothing line. You want to make your pumpers, your workers, your workover crews more productive, put them in comfortable clothes. And that's what Sentinel Safety is. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the listeners and watchers out there this week. And we'll see you next time on another episode of The Crude Truth.
Again, thank you to our sponsors, LFS Chemistry, NAPE Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Exec Crew, Oil and Gas Workers Association, Pecos Country Operating.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.